Good morning, everybody. How we doing? Sammy United People's TV. It's Thursday, the 27th of March, and before we start the show, everybody has to get in the comments and wish a happy birthday to my mum, because it's her birthday today. So, happy birthday, mum. Probably hear me. But it's a busy show today. We're going to be running through the wage bill and that article from The Athletic and Laurie Whitwell discussing actual numbers. Because I keep saying, that I have said for a long time, it's very hard to speculate on what the wages are, but there's somebody that we trust and there's information that we trust, so we can run through that and have a conversation about Shaw, Casemiro, Rashford, Anthony Sancho. We'll also speak about Carrington. An article from the Manchester Evening News that's literally come out about a minute ago on Kobie Mainoo and the fact that he could potentially leave. I'm going to read that. I haven't read that article yet. I'm going to read it with you live and direct. Nobody, exactly, Chippy, exactly that. Do not ask the age. Rule number 1. And yeah, I'll try and get involved with you all in a chat. Everybody wants me before the live show every day. It's like my whole day exists before the live show, and then after it's like, it's all calm. But we got there in the end. I'll be a little bit less flustered in a few minutes. Good morning to you, Josh, to Stephanie, to Carl, to Ant. How you doing, buddy? Akash, you're there as well. Donald. Not Trump. I hope not. Bjorn. Oh, cool. That's a new name. Tiskin. We've got Francis. We've got Michelle Ellis. Good morning to you. And everybody wishing my mum a happy birthday. Very nice. What are my wages? Ain't nobody going to find out what my wages are. I'm on a performance bonus, which all United players should be on, by the way. I suppose technically the 25% drop that comes when you're not in the Champions League is slightly related to that. But anyway, I think we'll have a conversation about the wage restructure, which is definitely one of the biggest jobs that INEOS have to do at this club. Now, let's go and run through some news. And this here, right? The Club World Cup. I mean, it's existed for a while. United, I think famously, I don't know if I remember this correctly, after we won the Champions League, we didn't play in the FA Cup the year after because we were involved in the Club World Cup. Is that right? And there was a massive uproar about that. Anyway, you're reading that number correctly. There is $1 billion worth of prize money being involved in this tournament. $1 billion. Literally like a Dr. Evil tournament. $1 billion for a 32-team tournament. And 7 games, you will win $125 million. Like, it's staggering. Absolutely staggering. And this isn't going to be a bombshell or anything new, but the way that money, it's kind of always been, I suppose it's why the Premier League existed in the first place. It's just that the numbers are just inflating and inflating and inflating and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I can't say this is anything new, because like pretty much the exact same thing happened with the formation of the Premier League. But it's just, if City or Chelsea were to win this competition, they could in theory. They could win. What were the prizes for the Champions League and the Premier League? Let's go down here. Right. Look at that. So by comparison, if somebody was to win the Champions League, they could claim, or they could win as much as £135 million. What's that? About $170, $180 million? Thereabouts. So more, but that's across the course of a whole season, not a 1-month competition with 7 games. It's bonkers. That's properly a sort of the rich get richer. Again, as I said, this is nothing new. This is exactly the same as sort of the formation of the Premier League. But Matt, you're saying money didn't come into the Premier League until the 2000s. Well, yeah, part and parcel of it anyway. It's proper head-scratching money. Really, really is. Yeah, great. Football. Yeah, modern football. Yeah. PSG, you're going to buy Malaga. Yeah. All good fun. Oh, sorry. Qatar Sports Investment. Oh, Bring that off the shoulder. Now, I just want to say thank you to everybody who left the comments on the Andy Cole video yesterday. And I'll just give you a little bit of an insight into sort of the whole team process behind the scenes. It's really sad to see that video there got 4-5 times less views than the Tyler Dibling one. And I know, and that's always the difficulty that you have with creating content. I'm just sort of giving you an insight into my thought process, because a video like this, which requires high quality editing, high quality factual research, script writing, a proper thumb design, it's a lot more expensive and a lot more time consuming. And when videos like that don't perform, it puts people off making them in the future. Now, we will always continue. I'll keep plowing down, but it is just a shame. I think it's just simply because people weren't as interested in finding out about Andy Cole as they were in reacting to the Tyler Dibling news story. 100 million. Still laughing at that. Look, I think that's because they just basically don't want to sell him. But just a little bit of an insight there. But anybody who watched it, thank you all for leaving your comments. And fingers crossed YouTube will push it to others. Because I'm always proud of all these videos that we do. And this is it's something that I've been that I've been determined to do this for about a year now. We started doing these roughly about a year ago, and we're still doing them, and it won't change. Even if nobody watches it, well, I suppose if nobody watches like 10 in a row, then it's gonna be a problem. But if you haven't watched it, please do go and watch it and share it among some United fans, because it can make a difference. Yeah, I love Andy Cole. And anyway, as I said, this was the conversation yesterday. We didn't really get to speak about this. Feels like we've spoken about Tyler Dibling every day for a little bit. $100 million. Now, look, the reason that Southampton are doing that is to fend off interest. They don't want to sell Tyler Dibling. Does anybody know? I think I'm right in saying this. You know, like the playoff final when it happens, it's considered the it's like the £100 million game, something like that. I can't remember what exact number is associated with it, but it's considered as far as a one-off game of football goes, because if you win it, you're in the Premier League next season and all the money that will come with that, and if you lose it, you're still in the Championship. So that game is potentially worth 100 million to Southampton if they ever got into that situation. And in that sense, if Tyler Dibling was to stay at Southampton and they got into the playoff final and he helped them win it, then he would be worth that much to them. But they're not going to get that for him. And I think it's just their way of trying to push clubs away who are knocking at the door. All 14 of the Premier League clubs who are knocking at the door. Dad, you're saying I said 60 and I was laughed at. Yeah, I mean, you will be laughed at because they're not going to get 60. They're not going to get 100. My prediction is that... Okay, I'll ask you in the comments as well. Who do you think Tyler Dibling will play for next season? What's your prediction? Bear in mind that this week we've seen City, United, Spurs, I think Liverpool, Bayern Munich, Leipzig, I think Dortmund, all linked with a move for him. And of course, he could, in theory, stay at Southampton. I mean, it's not impossible. I mean, it's highly unlikely, but it's not impossible. If you were to predict what club he would play for next season, who do you think? I'm just inclined just to say Chelsea. Liverpool, as Salah's replacement? Are they really going to replace Salah with a 19-year-old? They could, in theory. I think there's big old change coming with that Liverpool squad this season. I think Trent is the first domino to fall. Well, when the Van Dijk and Salah will follow. Majority of you are saying Liverpool. Some of you are saying Newcastle. Paul, you're saying Chelsea. Jeff, you think Southampton. Donovan, you're saying Spurs. I don't think Spurs would pay the premium. Newcastle, quite a few of you are saying that. Chelsea do need another winger, just in case the other 60 get injured. Yes, they've gained another 13 winger since last time I did that video. I don't think Spurs would pay the and that's the thing. I think while this is laughable, and they're not going to get 100 mil for him, I think there's going to be maybe not just an outright bidding war on Tyler Dibling, but there's going to be a lot of clubs that are interested in him. They won't be short of offers, and they won't accept the first bid, and they won't have to accept the lowest bid. Someone's going to have to slightly overpay. And I just don't think that United, in the condition that we are now, have the ability to overpay for anyone. And that's going to be the same with any striker that we link with this summer. I think it's going to be the case with Tyler Dibling. So as much as I would love to see him in a United shirt, look, maybe we find out that Tyler Dibling absolutely wants to be a United player, that he would actively push for that move, and by doing so, it gives United a slight edge. And maybe that Jason Wilcox edge is more of an edge than I realise. I'm not saying let's find out. And my prediction is that Tyler Dibling won't play for United. And I think you just have to predict the club that is going to be willing to overpay. And I don't think that's United. I don't know what Liverpool's finances are like. Chelsea, they always will, so you can't rule them out. Arsenal, they've got Saka in that position. I don't particularly think they're going to be looking for a winger. They need a striker. City... City don't need that. Who did they sign? What's his name? Is it Savinho? Don't particularly think they need a player in that position. So Liverpool might be a shout, Or maybe he does stay at Southampton for one more year and then they sell him for significantly less. That's always a possibility. And again, I don't think I'd be offended by that. The idea that Tyler Dibling would stay at Southampton and then we sign him next summer for like 22 million. Maybe Spurs. Maybe Newcastle, maybe Liverpool. Let's find out. But I know one thing. United won't overpay. As I said at the end of my video yesterday, United should, in my opinion, go in strong at the start of the window. One bid, I think in the region of 40 million. This is our bid. It won't change. It won't go up. This bid will exist for 48 hours and then it's gone. Take it or leave it. And I think Southampton will leave it. Simply because they know that others... It's like, I don't know. I always find myself using house analogy. Probably because I'm buying a house. But if you've got a house that you know loads of people want, you're not going to accept the first offer that comes in, are you? You'd be pretty stupid to. You would be if you had advice. Like, well, there's no point accepting that because we know full well... I mean, you have 10 other emails from all different interested parties. So you probably shouldn't accept the first offer because they won't. And Connor, that's actually a good point, which I only realised after the video I did yesterday, is that Dibling's only got 1 year left on his contract. So who am I kidding? The idea of Dibling staying at Southampton, going through the Championship and then leaving on a free, Southampton can't do that. They literally can't do that. I mean, actually, that's a lie. They literally can, but it would be madness. So what a gamble that would be for Southampton, and they won't be able to do that. Remember that Southampton's annual turnover in 2022-23, which I said yesterday, it's their latest published results, by the way, was 146 million. So the idea that they would have offers for Dibling, 40, 50, 60, whatever it is, and they turn them all down, and they keep Dibling, and they go into the Championship, and they don't get promoted next season, and then they lose him on a free next summer, I mean, they're not going to do that. So Southampton don't really have as much... And let me confirm this, because I didn't actually... Let me check this. Does his contract actually run out in 2026? Dibling. Transfer market. All right, let's have a look. 25 million, apparently. No, I don't want to translate from German. Right, they're saying contract expires in 2027. So, is that right or wrong? I need to find out. When did he sign his contract? Tyler Dibling signs Southampton contract, but they might have had a +1. There you go. Right. Tyler Dibling commits future to Saints. Southampton Football Club is delighted to announce that Dibling has signed a new contract, keeping him at the club until 2026. Is there anything in here about 1 year? Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah. Right. So you got the official Southampton website here saying that the contract runs until 2026, but you got transfer marked saying that it runs until 2027. So maybe there's a 1 year extension that Southampton, United have got it with, I think, pretty much every signing that every player that we've got. Why are British players so hyped up? Richard, it's not that British players are hyped up. And this is something that I think you can let me know what you think in the chat, but a lot of United fans that I've spoken to feel that it would, with all the risks that Man United have taken with signings that we've made, a lot of United fans want United to start buying some Premier League proven players to take away that element of risk that comes with signing a player who looks great in France or great in Italy or great in Germany and comes to the Premier League and shits the pants. That's why some players are overhyped. That's why some players are hyped, because you've seen them in the Premier League environment. You know that they can handle the physicality. You know that they can handle the intensity. And you take away those elements. That's part of the reason why they come with a premium. And that's partly what a lot of some United fans feel. One sec there. Too many things open. When it comes to players like Dibling. Yeah. That's it. Anyway, 100 mil. They're not going to go 100 mil. And I have no idea when his contract runs out, because it says 2026 on the official website. It says 2027 elsewhere. Don't know. Now, speaking of British players, this literally just came out from the Manchester Evening News. And I haven't read through this. Okay, from Stephen Ralston. Manchester United and Kobie Mainoo could go separate ways in the summer transfer window. I'm going to read through this article and see what it actually says. Make sure I didn't miss any super chats up here. Rex, how you doing, buddy? You're saying, I know this is not popular, but when are we going to start worrying about footballer burnout? It's clear UEFA and FIFA do not care about footballers. They don't. They haven't for a long time. And in my opinion, I already had this moan yesterday, but it's the exact same as the oversaturation of TV shows or music, or just the availability and the constantness of stimulation. That's what football is. Football is constant. 2-3 games a week. I mean, it was standard, right? You go back to Fergie's best seasons. 2-3 games a week was standard. But there were breaks. It's not squeezing in extra Champions League games. It's not making the preseason bigger. It's not adding random tournaments into the summer. So there's always something going on, and there's never a time where players have the ability to rest. And it's why players are fitter, but also why players are breaking more. Joseph saying, I'd love to have Andy Cole on our team right now. Imagine. What a goal scorer, man. What a goal scorer. Paul, thank you for gifting 5 memberships there, dude. A top man indeed, Shmee. Shmee. Anyway. And you just got gifted a membership. Very cheeky. Can't be a mod and get a free membership. What is this? Right, anyway. Let's speak about this. I'm going to read through this article. I don't know what it says. Kobie Mainoo's future is uncertain. United and Mainoo could go their separate ways in the summer transfer window. He's been in contract negotiations. Yeah, we know that. Manchester Evening News understands there is a genuine chance he could leave. There needs to be a compromise in contract negotiations for Mainoo to stay, which supporters are hopeful for, but it's thought a split might eventually be best for the player and the club. So, I don't know whether this would be... I hate the Manchester Evening News website so damn much. Oh, my God. Let me scroll up. Why is it that these websites have got to have such a crap user experience? I know that you need adverts to work, but what's the point in putting so many adverts in that your website doesn't work? What's the point? Balance. User experience versus revenue. You're going to drive your users away if people can't use your website. Anyway. Moan over. Kobie. Now, I'm actually going to be running through this and that's not the wrong one. I'm going to be running through this from Laurie Whitwell next, right? And it's about United's wages. So I speak about what was written in about Mainoo. He's on 25 grand a week, which is, well, that was the first professional contract he signed. It's not relative to who Kobie Mainoo is now and the his position in this United squad and his stature. 25 grand is under. Now, we've already had this conversation before. I don't need to ask how much you think that he should be on. And we all agreed as a community in the region of 80 grand a week, rising to 100 with bonuses. And that would be, now that we know he's on 25 grand, that would be a 400% salary increase. Had to do 4 times 100 there. If he was to get that. Which relative to United's other players would be quite a low wage, but relative to the wage structure that we are trying to bring in, it's completely and utterly fair. Yeah, but Bryn, you're saying to go from 25k to 180k is nuts. Now, I don't know whether that 180k, that may have just been speculation. We can't put any actual numbers and figures on what it is that Mainoo has demanded or Mainoo is asking for. This, again, just feels like the next little piece of contract negotiations. It might just be Mainoo's agent just leaking it to the Manchester Evening News saying, well, I'll tell you what, he might leave. Let's just put that out. Let's put a little bit of a squeeze on United. I don't really think that because you got to try and think about it. Would it benefit United to leak this in the Manchester Evening News? I mean, they could just be making it up. All right. Mania, thank you for gifting 5 memberships as well. Brittany, you've got 1. Simon, Rocky, David Lim, and Martin Gerrity. Sounds Irish. What do you think? Do I need to ask that? I'm not sure. I genuinely applied this same logic to every United player. I'm talking about Aiden Heaven, Lenny Yoro, Kobie Mainoo, Alejandro Garnacho, Andre Nana. It doesn't matter the seniority of the player. It doesn't matter the quality of the player. Man United are stepping into something different right now. We are in the ugly early stages of it, and it is but ugly. Watching what's happening at our football club in terms of the decisions and the people it's affected has been awful to watch. Is all of it necessary? That's where you get into the questions of where the cuts could be made. And I always go back that horrible one-liner in the Ratcliffe-Neville interview when Neville said, have you ever thought of just like doing a charity dinner with the players? Like, did you see the news? I need to verify his information, actually, so I'm not going to say it. But there was news about Fergie and a charity dinner that he did. But when Neville said to Ratcliffe, have you thought of just like doing a charity dinner with the players, getting them involved? They'll probably donate. You could probably sell some raffle tickets, and that would probably raise more than you would save by cutting disability charity contributions. And Ratcliffe was like, oh, I thought of that. But the wages. Matt, yes, the 25% wage reduction for not being in the Champions League is indeed included in the story, and it's something that I will run through now. But when it comes to Mainoo, is the point I'm making, I don't care how high the quality of the player is. I don't care if it's an academy product. I don't care if it's the best player in the world. If you can't agree to this new wage structure, don't tell me what Shaw is on. Don't tell me what Rashford or Sancho is on. Don't tell me what other players are earning at the football club and that you want a piece of that pie. Although, to be fair, there has to be parity and consistency among the wages. And that's where we're at. We're at that... Right now, we're at that shit stage of a haircut. You know, like, you want to change from one haircut to another, and you're halfway through it, and you're like, mate, look awful. Look absolutely grim. But if you want that new haircut, you got to plow through it. You got to deal with the consequences until you get to the end game and you go, yeah, okay, that was worth it. That's where we're at with wages. We are going to be cutting wages. And this is the thing, right? And I'll say this in a bit more detail in my lunchtime video. This is pretty much the most important financial thing that the club has to do. Any cuts that they've made to redundancies, canteen, cutting credit cards, stopping FA Cup final trips, everything, right? All of it pales in comparison to United getting in control of our wage bill when it comes to the money that can be saved. Now, a couple of graphs here from the Athletic, right? If you look at United's wage bill in comparison to our rivals, it's not even slightly outweigh. It's not outrageous. It's the top 6. Well, top 5, actually. United's wages are relative to the clubs that we should be in and around in the Premier League. Instead, we're 13th, right? This one here is an important graph. Although United have got the 3rd biggest wage bill in the Premier League, we've actually got the 3rd lowest compared to our overall turnover. So, like, we're not overspending, but that's why I use the word wasteful, right? Because United's wages, relative to turnover, are not crazy. In fact, they're very, very healthy and sustainable. But shit me, they're wasteful. 3rd highest wage bill in the Premier League, right? And that's where I'm going to run through some numbers here. I'll do this in a lot more detail in the lunchtime video, okay? George, you're saying, a member on United View informed Flex of your congratulations on the award, and he was appreciative and said he would like to reach out and do some content. Why not? You can reach out. I've always avoided doing collabs with it, and I don't mean this in an offensive way to Flex or to anybody from Stretford Paddock. And by the way, I'll say this here, right? If you haven't watched it, go and watch that video that Howson put out yesterday. A seriously brave video to put out, and yeah, deserves some serious respect for doing it. It's about mental health, about bringing yourself from a certain position to improving yourself and sort of accepting help even though you don't want to, and then making yourself better as a consequence. And the reason I reached out to him yesterday and I said, just like, big up for doing that video, man. Because when I've done my videos on when I let you all know about the divorce that was going on, that was more for sort of, partly because of me, but I also thought, but by me doing that and speaking about it and speaking about the therapy, it would help others. And I know it did, because I got hundreds of emails, hundreds of messages. And the same thing when I told you about the surgery that I was having. I put myself in vulnerable positions in a very big online platform. And it's exactly what Stephen did yesterday. So all credit to him for doing that. Anybody who does that, who tries to use a platform to help others, deserves serious respect for doing it. And also, I lost a shit ton of weight. So, that too. It's not easy. Anyway, Luke Shaw. So, we've got some actual clarity on some wages that United players are earning. And Luke Shaw is on 200 grand a week plus bonuses. And this is what I'm talking about. And this is actually something that Jim Ratcliffe really went into detail on when he spoke about the start for Amram. You know, where in the interview, was it with Gary? Was it with the BBC? I think it was with Gary. And he was explaining, he goes, well, if you look at the squad that Amram has had available to him, he's actually performed quite well, because if you take away the fact that, you know, all these top earners that aren't there, like Rashford's not there, Sancho's not there, Anthony's not one of the top earners, but Anthony's not there, Shaw's not available, Mount's not available. If you actually take away those and then you look at his performances, you have a different sort of, you look at it differently. But Shaw's on, this is what I mean about wasteful wages. Shaw is on 200 grand a week. Plus bonuses. Marcus Rashford. The numbers are actually bigger than we thought. Laurie is suggesting that Rashford, the peak of what he could have got at United through that contract, if United were in the Champions League and the bonuses were added all on top, was actually £400,000 a week. That's how big the Rashford contract could have gotten. 400 grand a week. Wow. I mean, I know Rashford was deserving of a new contract, but that's something else altogether. I don't even know what the highest earner in the Premier League has ever had. That's outrageous. That's just right now. It's dropped to 325 a week because of the Champions League. You know, there's always a 25% clause in all the contracts. When you're not in the Champions League, the wages go down. But United right now are paying around about 100 grand a week, thereabouts, for Rashford not to play for our club. Right, 1 second here. Farhan, you are banned from the channel. Goodbye. See ya. Anybody who comes in here, A, spamming, B, caps, C, just making stuff up. Y'all ain't gonna get involved in the chat no more. Don't know why I just switched up there. Anyway, that's mad money. We move on to some more. The waste at this club. And this is the big thing. I actually said this as well. Like, as much as I hate the Glazers, and I really hate the Glazers at my core, the biggest issue at this football club over the last 10 years has not been that money hasn't been available. It's been that Man United have effectively just taken a lighter and petrol to tens and hundreds of millions of pounds. We have wasted so much money so consistently. We've got it wrong and wrong and wrong and wrong and wrong and wrong again and wrong again. Wrong again. So many times we've got it wrong. You'd think you bloody learn, but we don't. Sancho, it's on 250 grand a week. Now, you could say that's Captain Hindsight coming in here. When we signed him, man, I was buzzing. Was 250 grand a week too much for a 21-year-old? Would be, I think, the fair question you could ask now, right? But 250 on Sancho. And United, by the way, Chelsea are paying 50% of his wages. So right now, United are paying, it's going to make you feel sick, we're paying nearly £250,000 a week for Rashford and Sancho not to play for our football club. We could have 6 Patrick Dorgus, wage-wise, for the amount of money we are paying for Rashford and Sancho to play for other Premier League clubs. I mean, you have to laugh at it. You have to laugh at like the ridiculousness of this. 6 Patrick Dorgus could play for our club for the amount of money we are paying for 2 of our players to play for other Premier League clubs. Now, if that's not like the definition of waste, I don't know what is. I really, really don't know what is. It doesn't mean I think United are wrong for Sancho and Rashford being loaned. They're absolutely correct. But that's how wasteful it is. And that's what I mean about, like, screw your redundancies, man. Like, I'm not saying that, like, do more of them. I'm saying, like, screw your redundancies. Screw all the cuts you're talking about elsewhere, man. Just sort this out. Sort the wage bill out. The whole situation looks different. And that's Barada's... I don't know what Barada's biggest job is. I'll be totally honest. There's too many jobs at United that all need the attention at the exact same time. But getting United to fix the wage bill is right up there. And as I said, Dorg is on 40 grand a week, and it's confirmed there by The Athletic. So that's going to be Well, Patrick Dorgu is a first-team starting player, okay? His stature before he came to the club was a player who's playing in Serie A at the top level, but he's playing with a relegation-threatened Lecce team. But he's a fully senior international with Denmark. Okay, so it wasn't as if they just plucked him from obscurity and out of nowhere. Like, who's Patrick Dorgu? Oh, I've never heard of this player before. I mean, a lot of United fans probably wouldn't have heard of Patrick Dorgu, but he was playing top-level football in one of Europe's top 5 leagues and was a senior international. It wasn't as if he just existed in the shadows. And he's on 40 grand a week. That's a big bet. Unfortunately, as part of the article, there's no confirmation on the wages that Ahmad got. Because I actually thought the Ahmad contract is probably going to be a big marker for the likes of Mainoo or Garnacho or lots of other players. Casemiro's on 350 grand a week. How old was Casemiro when we signed him? Is it 30? I don't know. There's no confirmation on how much Euro is on, Matthew, so you can speculate on how much is on there, but there's no point. I'd rather not speculate on that. But this is it. This is the way, man. The wage bill, fixing that this summer. That's what I mean about, it's one of the biggest summers for United. But it really, really is. This summer will be like properly where the line is drawn. And United shift in a different direction. I think Casemiro was 30 when we signed him. Have a look. Man United signed Casemiro. Ba-da-ba-da-ba. 2022. Oh, he didn't include his age. Cheeky. Pardon me. Sky Sports probably would have included it. Let's have a little look. Blah, blah, blah. Was no one want to include his age? Well, that's annoying. Oh. 30. 30. Just, again, just like... And this is not Captain Hindsight. Just step back and say this, right? Okay, it doesn't really matter who it is. Manchester United this summer are going to go and sign a 30-year-old for £70 million. Do you want us to do that? Yes or no? If I did a poll, I think I know what the answer to that would be. And it's not Captain Hindsight. Did it give us, that big old dopamine hit? Can't get De Jong. Get Casemiro in. Great. Yeah, great. Was he great that season? Hell yeah. He was for a season. And then we switched style. And the weaknesses of Casemiro, the physical decline of Casemiro came to the fore because it was exposed. But we spent £70 million on a 30-year-old player. I don't know. Well, some of you will be old enough to remember this. Back when Fergie was there, I remember, and I'm not sure which player sort of broke this or whether we did ever break it, but Man United only gave 1-year contract extensions out to players who were over 30. So every single season, any player who was over 30 at Manchester United was playing for their future at United. There was no contract to lean back on. There was no contract to go, I've got a 4-year deal here, mate. It's like a cigar, let's chill. If you wanted to be at United the year after, you had to perform, you had to play that year. And now we're out giving... Look, Matt, you're saying 30 is not that old nowadays. When it comes to the Premier League, there's going to be anomalies. You can pull out Mo Salah and you can pull out others as well. But largely, because of the athletic nature, football is in the Premier League is a young man's game. Of course, I'm not saying that it applies to everybody, but largely it is. Bruno's over 30 and he just seems to somehow gain fitness. But yeah, wastefulness. It's not Captain Hindsight. It's obvious that United are going to get stung by that contract. And like this man, I'll speak about Varane in a positive way now, but think Varane was 29 when we signed him and had injury concerns and problems. And lo and behold, Varane, man, I wish he was fit at United the whole time. And I'm glad. I think that was his last game in the United shirt, wasn't it? Imagine that. His last game in the United shirt is winning the FA Cup. That's a great way to go out. But again, it's not kept in hindsight going, oh, I never saw that coming. Oh, my God. Did anybody see any issue with us spending, how much did we sign Varane for? Don't know, 56 minutes. Did anybody see it coming? Oh, yeah, everybody. Varane was 28. It's still on the wrong side of the curve of a football player's career. Hence why I don't think United will sign him, apart from maybe a senior striker. But a senior striker, again, it'll be the length of the contract. How long a contract was Varane given? Varane joins Man United. Four-year deal. I suppose in that one isn't as outrageous, really. 4-year deal, 28. How much was he signed for? 41 million. Yeah, well, that's not as crazy. Okay, well, that's not as crazy. I'm going to be speaking about Varane in a second next. Either way, please fix the wastefulness at this club, please. That's it. That's the thing that changes the outlook. This whole wage structure, and I go back to this, and it might mean there are some casualties. And it might mean that Kobie Mainoo, hypothetically, is one of the casualties. And if he is one of the casualties because he sits down and he goes, I refuse to sign anything less than 150 grand a week, then United will be like, well, we're going to have to part ways then. And we will part ways. And that same blanket rule will apply to every single player. I won't prioritise British players or anybody from the exact same rule will apply to every player. This is a new wage structure. This is where you fall into it. We can compromise and we can negotiate, maybe 10% up or 10% down. We'll see what goes on there. But you either agree to it or you don't. I still think that Kobie Mainoo will sign a contract. I still think this is all part of the negotiations. But don't get pissed off with this club when, like this summer, for example. Prepare yourselves. Don't get pissed off. Oh, United are so cheap. Oh, United. When we don't sign Osimhen because we won't pay him 200 grand a week. And it's a reason why I don't think we will sign Osimhen. I think Osimhen's wage demands will not fall in to what Barada is going to be doing. Right? It's just prediction. I don't think we sign Osimhen because of the wages. I don't think we sign Gyökeres because I think he would cost too much and we probably won't have Champions League football. Hey, if we win the Europa League, the Gyökeres conversation might come in. But if we win the Champions League, our wage bill goes up 25% next season. Remember that. So any cuts that we are making, if we actually win the Europa League, then we kind of need to make even more cuts because our wage is going to go up. The bill's going to go up 25% next year. It's going to be players that we can't sign this summer. And don't get pissed off about it. Understand that it's part of the wage restructure. There's going to be players that probably want to lead this club. And it's going to be part of the wage restructure. There's going to be casualties of players we can't sign and casualties of players that want to leave as a consequence. We're in the shit stage of a haircut. That's what Manchester United has to be right now. Kevin, you're saying the line has to be drawn somewhere. You cannot, and this is the big thing here, you cannot be making 400 people redundant. Trying to say you're restructuring a wage bill and then throw it all out the window to sign a big name striker because he might score you a couple of goals. You have to be consistent. And if you're not consistent, you will undermine yourself. Other players will go, man, this ownership structure, man. Like they're literally, they get rid of all these people, sacking good people, saying this and that about saving money, and then they're going to go spend this on that player. Doesn't make sense. You've undermined yourself as an ownership team. It's part of it. Jonathan, you're a Southerner, Sam. What does a melt mean? A melt is someone who's just, if you're a melt, you're a bit of a twat, really. Just kind of a bit of a dick. just a wet lettuce of an individual. Just a whiffy individual. Nah, you wouldn't. Nah, you can't rely on that person. An absolute melt. Good word though. A good melt. Joseph, you're saying, wait, your little super chat about the wages. Does that mean if we make the Champions League next year, Rashford can claim more money from United to leave? He wouldn't have agreed to a contract. I think he absolutely could. That's exactly what I just mentioned there. If we do get into the Champions League next season, the wage bill goes up 25%. Navuo saying, let's say we win the Europa. Do you think the club won't sign new players due to winning it like Ten Hag saga with winning the FA Cup? No. I think United will be going into this summer with a plan and a structure. I imagine we've probably got 2 transfer windows lined up. They won't be massively different transfer windows, but Barada and Vivell and Wilcox will be like, right, these are our plans if we get into the Champions League, and these are the plans if we don't. I think there might be a couple of players that will be like, if we get into the Champions League, we could have considerations about it. And I think Gyökeres would be one of them. I think without the Champions League, I don't think that's a conversation. I think even with the Champions League, we might be outpriced on it, but because of the Amorim link, it may well be that Gyökeres will be willing to accept a slightly lesser wage because he believes in it. But where Gyökeres is in his career, he's 27 now, doesn't really match up with the INEOS structure of signing younger players. That would be, if we signed Gyökeres, and this is the thing that United can't really afford to do anymore. We can't have any mistakes. It could work out with Gyökeres, and it probably would, but it might not. So United might not be able to take the risk of spending 50 million on Gyökeres on the off chance that it doesn't work out. And then you've got a player whose value is only going to go downwards, who's on big wages at your club, and you now need another striker. Tough summer ahead, man. Mike is saying maybe it's why we aren't active right now. Guarantee we are active behind the scenes. And I think I'm really looking forward to seeing United make more signings like Diego Leon. Sekou Kone can get involved in this as well. Aiden Heaven, a real cherry pick from Arsenal's academy. Took advantage of a contract situation. Boom, hello, in you come. Already ready for the Premier League. Already started it, looking great immediately. Boom. For £1 million, that's what we need more of. Aiden Heaven being held up as an example internally of this is what we can do, man. Yeah, I know that Gyökeres will be moving to a Champions League club. Oh, I feel like I have a bit of a rant this morning there about wages. But it is nuts, isn't it? It is nuts. Third highest wage bill in the whole league, but the third lowest wage bill in relation to our turnover. So United are not overspending with our wages, but it's just like we're backing the wrong horses. Like we're constantly, so we're going into the bookies and we're constantly choosing the horse that comes second. And we're not even betting each way. Constantly. I would love to go to the Villa Park on Monday, John. I was going to try and get some press access. But I've got an extremely busy personal weekend ahead. And probably the next month's going to be a bit of a madness. Because hopefully moving house. And if I'm moving house, then the big studio happens. I've started drawing out. Look at that. I'm not going to show you any designs I've done yet. But can't even see it. Starting to draw out some rooms there. That's a blank one there. I'll show you anyway. Starting to draw out some initial designs of what it could look like. So I'm going to have to, probably for a month, I'll have to dot between the two houses. I'm in a lucky position, the fact that I can just drop back into the parents. But I'm probably going to have the studio here whilst I build the old studio. While I build a new studio. And I'll be doing that for a month, chopping and choosing between. Get a studio with a live audience. All come around my house for the live shows in the morning. Yeah, you stand over there. You stand over there. You stand. A little bit of room. You can just sit on his knee. Neil, did you get new tenants for your flat? No, mate. There's some mad rule I didn't realize how crap the system was. It's a mad rule that you have to give the tenant until X. They have to give him like 2 weeks to come pick up the stuff that he's just left all over your flat. Today is literally the last day, and then I have to get it absolutely emptied. I'm going to have to get in a clearance team to empty it. There's that much stuff, and then I have to get a professional deep cleaners in to fix the mess that he's left, and then after that I have to look at the damage that he's done and left behind, and then I have to repair any damage that he's done, and then after that I can have conversations about tenants or ideally selling. But I've still got to fix the mess that this man has left. Proper scumbag, a rat of a human. I didn't know people like that existed, and I realise it actually triggers me to speak about it now. Been dealing with it for so long, and I've had to bite my tongue so much. Like, even in court after, I still had to bite my tongue, even though I've won. Ah, man, I don't want to wish it on anyone. I'm not in real estate. I've just got one flat. Richard, yes, I am very much aware of JJ Gabriel. But I'm trying not to. I won't really do videos on 14-year-olds right now. I just think it's the wrong thing to do. I might have a conversation about him as part of a wider video, but I won't do an individual video. I think it's the wrong thing to do. Do you think we'll get a new goalkeeper this summer, says Nabua? Well, maybe, but my prediction is that I don't think United will replace all 3 of our goalkeepers in the same summer. Tom Heaton's going to retire. By end, they will definitely want to find a new club, and I just don't see us replacing our first, second, and third choice goalkeeper in the same summer. Yeah, Joe, he didn't pay rent for like 6 months, and I was paying a mortgage, and I was paying through the nose for solicitor bill. I'm not going to tell you what the total bill is, but yeah, a lot. Right, let's wrap this up for today, because I've got to do a lunchtime video. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for getting involved in the chat, as always. Yeah. Wages. Quite important to get that right. That's going to be the difference maker at this club. That's the difference maker at this club. There's nothing about redundancies have any sort of comparison to the difference that a proper wage structure would do. Right, I'm going to work on a lunchtime video. I'll get that out. Funny enough, at lunchtime. Thank you all for tuning in. Tomorrow's Friday. Get Vibey on the show. Yeah. Take it easy. Thanks for getting involved.